Hi kids, Michelle here. Sorry, a little bit late this morning. I just had a call with someone from Buffer app. You know how I talk about it all the time, and it's one of the pieces of software I always recommend that you use for scheduling posts and things like that. So they just asked me to do a little bit of testing this week on the app, on their new app. They've still got a bit of development to go, so don't get too excited. But yeah, no, it's fun. It was really cool. Anyway, so that's why I was a little bit late. I keep thinking about my fingers. Yep, day 8. Yay! Congratulations. So if you're watching this, hopefully that means you have got through the first week, and we are now officially, technically over halfway through the challenge, and we're moving into the fun bit. It feels like it's going downhill from here, because in many ways, and for most of us, it's that writing that epic piece of content is very challenging. It can be quite challenging. Even the writers amongst us find it not a really simple process, that to pull that information out of your head and put it in a way that people can understand can be, it's a challenge. And I guess that's why this is called a challenge. So I hope you've got something. I hope you've written something, even if it's just 500 words or whatever. I hope you've got something that we can play with this week. Or if you happen to have joined the challenge late, like today, or maybe tomorrow, then you can use a piece of writing you already have, unless you can whip something out really quick. We can excuse you for not writing 1,500 words. I need a cup of tea. It's a bit early, and I've already been doing a few things, so a great way to start a Saturday morning. But I'm very excited, as anyone who's already done this challenge will know, this is my most favourite time of the challenge, when we get stuck into the creative side. Now, why do we do this, and what even is it? So those of you who are new might want a small explanation for what we're going to do this week. So this week is all about creating, we're calling them marketing assets. In the beginning, I used to call them repurposed content, and it's just long and unyielding. So now I've moved through to more, different long words. They're marketing assets. And it probably better explains what it is we do this week. So we've created this piece of content that sits on your website as a part of the foundations of your website, because it's a whole page on your website. When you create a blog post on a typical website like WordPress, then it creates a page that exists independent on the web, so people can go to just that page, and it should show up in results for Google, things like that. So it's a fantastic little thing that sits on your website, making your website bigger, making it more gutsy. So making your website a place that people know that they can go to get fantastic information, and you keep providing these blocks and foundations. And I talk about that a lot. That is sort of what that first week is all about, creating that. So once you've done that, though, most of us will go, okay, so I've done a blog post. I'll grab the link to the blog post and I'll just share it once. And we go and put it on our various social medias. We share it. We go, oh, look, we've written a blog post. And that's it. We don't do anything else. We just go off and get on with our lives. And we often don't even write the next blog post for months and months, if maybe next year. So we don't, that's it. And we wonder why, it doesn't create a lot of traction. It might in the future. Like Frankie will tell you that she created a fantastic blog post that was based around great keywords. I think it was more than a year ago, actually even longer than that ago, maybe 18 months plus. And that particular blog post still gets her traffic now. In fact, she probably got more traffic months after she did it, but it was because she did so much great research, and they're actually coming from searches in Google, not because she's sharing it. So what we're doing this week is creating different assets, marketing assets are calling them, that you can use to share your blog post multiple times in social media. So rather than you just grabbing the link and posting it into social media, and it just takes usually the feature image, whatever image you put up with your blog post, the first one is usually the feature image, the one that sits across the top. That's usually the one that different social media platforms will take and use as the visual representation of that link. Now, what we're going to do is take that link, and we're going to also be sharing it, but not just sharing it with that feature image, but also sharing it with the different kinds of the images that are in some way related to what the blog post is. So things like quotes, it's one of my favorite ones. And I don't just mean, although you could, don't just mean famous people quotes. If there are some famous people quotes that you think represent your blog post in some way, then sure, go ahead and use it. But you'll probably find, especially if you've managed to pump out that 1,500 words, you'll find that there are actually little quotable things that you can pull out of your own blog post and put them on an image that represents what it is the blog post is talking about. And you can share those. And then in the copy or the writing, the text that you put around those posts on social media, you include the link that goes back to your website. So then when people are looking at that image, they go, oh, that's really interesting. And then they click on the link to go and find out more information. Now, why do we bother doing that rather than just resharing the link over and over again and just, resharing that feature image? Well, one of the reasons is that feature image is probably going to resonate with one or two people, or, with some people, one little group of people. But if you create these quotes, if you create memes, if you create infographics, videos and audios and all these other kinds of things that we're going to do a little bit of this week, you'll find that will appeal to another set of people and another set of people. And of course, there'll be overlap and and people are more likely to share it. So it becomes those images that you see populating maybe your Facebook feed because all of your family and friends are sharing over and over again memes that they think are very succinct for how they're feeling or whatever, all the different reasons that people share things to do with being funny or being, has some kind of emotion, it stirs up an emotions in them, and so they want to share it. There's actually, I might even talk about that tomorrow, there's a list of things and reasons people share things and relating to it, being funny, being along their line of how they see the world. And there's a couple of others as well, but I actually have a list. So I'll find that somewhere and I'll share that tomorrow because it's quite important and it goes around how it should dictate to you the kind of images and things that you'll create because they're more likely then to get shared on by people who see them in the first place. And of course, when they do, your website, your blog post will get shared as well. And that's what we want. So what you're going to do is create a file on your computer. In that file should already be, your workings of your blog post. So, the text or whatever. So it's always a good thing to store the actual blog post into a filing system on your computer in your documents. And you can, I don't know, I use Dropbox, but there's lots of ways that you can do that efficiently, even just in a normal filing system on your computer. And then inside that folder, so I would have one folder that says, for me, it's Challenge 3, December 2016. And so in there we have, as I said, the blog post in a text document, and then the images that I've used in the blog post are in there as well. And then another folder which just says marketing assets inside that folder. So these are the marketing assets for that blog post. Okay, and then that's where we're going to be storing all of the images and videos and audios and slideshows and things like that we're going to start creating this week. And the beauty of it is that in the future, especially if you've created that evergreen content, you'll be able to go and grab that and reshare it using your buffer or whatever, chuck it into schedules and share that content over and over again. So you might have a process that this particular blog post you'll share again in, say, 4 months, something like that, especially if it's relevant to people no matter when, i.e. it's evergreen. But all of that, by thinking now how you're going to look after all of those, the assets and the text and things, and putting it in a place that makes sense, you will be able to easily access it and then put it out again. Not to mention, if you're thinking like that, you can use websites like Buffer to actually schedule 4 months out. So we'll do it all now and share it now to everybody, and then you can get really clever and say, well, this one worked really well at 6 o'clock on a Friday. At 6 o'clock on a Friday in 3 months, I'm also going to share it. And you can schedule that in Buffer, and then you can get on with your Christmas or whatever it is you're doing, and you don't have to worry about it again because you've you've thought about it. So that's a way you can start to think about automating what you're doing. Now, I'm going to get really, I mean, I can get very technical about all this because it's been my life for so long. I don't want to overwhelm you. This week really is about having fun and creating some awesome images. You could even, I was just trying to think whether to do that myself. You could even make them a bit Christmassy as well if you wanted to. Somehow tie in a Christmas theme over the top of the images just for this month. And then just have the blank ones, the same images without the Christmas tinsel around the edge for what you're going to do in the future. For resharing it, as I was just saying. So anyway, I have to think about that, whether that works for mine. Now, how to get started. How are you going to get started? Now, Canva is the service that I use all the time. The free version is great, and it's really all you need. You need a good source of images. Now, there's lots and lots of websites you can go to. Even Canva have a bunch of free images you can use, so you can use theirs. And the images that are paid for on Canva are only $1 anyway. So if you find one that you fall in love with, and you just have to have, it's only $1 anyway. So you could do that too. You can go, I think Pixabay is one of the ones I really like. And I think I do have a list of them. I was trying to remember where I put them. Maybe. I tell you what, I will attach to this video. I'm just looking at the Resource Centre now. But I'll attach to this video when I post it up some links to just a whole bunch of especially free image places, because the more images that you have and the more places you have to be able to go and get images. And you can pay for them. There's heaps of stock photos out there you can pay for. But the idea is to find the one that really resonates with what it is you've written and that you think people will want to share. So what you need to do is go and log into the Resource Centre over at Mission Mojo and have a look at the videos, because there's lots of great content there on how to get started and what you need to do, and technically how to use Canva and how to use Buffer and how to use things like Bitly, which is a link shortener, and that you can use to track to see where things came from and that kind of stuff, where clicks came from and what's going on. So I would love you to go and do that. What else am I going to talk about? There was something else. Anyway, I can't remember. I might save it till tomorrow, whatever it was. Or maybe it wasn't important. But what I want you to do, though, is have some fun with it. Don't get too head up on things that you think that you can't do yourself, because I go on and on about the creative spirit. But if you use things like Canva, actually even Buffer have their own image creating place now called Pablo, I think. And if you log into Buffer, hopefully you'll see it. Otherwise, I might include that link here as well. I haven't really used it, but you can go and have a look and see what it's like. I think one of the other guys used it in the last challenge. So, excuse me. But the beauty with things like Canva, and I think Pablo as well, they will actually give you like a template. So if you're worried that your creativity isn't up to scratch, then you can just start with something that already has the writing, the font is all sitting up looking pretty. You can keep the image that's in the background if it appeals to you. You don't have to swap it out for one of your own if you don't want to. You just change the words to something that's appealing, something that suits what you're doing at that time. So go and do that. If you are worried about creativity, perhaps think about using the examples that they provide in Canva rather than having to come up with your own. And the other thing, before we get too far into all the creating yourself, is to go over to Fiverr and perhaps have a look at what the graphic designers there are offering. Because you can get, they might even do something like 10 images for you, where you point them to your blog, tell them you want 10 quotes from it, or 5 quotes and 10 memes, or 5 memes, and you could do something like that. Can you please create me 5 quotes and 5 memes based on this blog post? And I need the images to be emotive, or to be whatever suits your audience. Or maybe you can say, I want 3 emotive ones and 2 funny ones and blah, blah, blah. And then you can go and have a cup of tea and come back the next day, give them $5 or $10 or however much that package is worth. And now you've got a place to start. So that's one thing you can do. If you're going to do that, one of the things I would suggest, and maybe this is a good idea for you to do anyway, is to go and have a look what other people are doing in your industry and see what kind of images they're sharing. So just go and have a look in their social media. How are they, what kind of images are they creating? And you could go to Google search, use the image. You can just search for images and you can search for other things in Google, not just for normal search results. So apart from the normal search, you've got video search and image search and there's a whole bunch of them. So you can go and click on the image. So you could type in whatever you say. Mine is business ideas, and then I could say meme, and then click the image button in the Google search, and it will give me a whole bunch of memes that people have put out on the web that relate to business ideas. And I could do the same for quotes. I could say business ideas, quote or quotes or something like that, and then I could click the image search, and all of a sudden Google provide me with a whole bunch of images that are related to business ideas and quotes. See how cool that is? And you can also do it with infographic. So I could say business ideas, infographic, and then I could click the Google image search, and I will just get a whole list of ideas to do infographics. Obviously don't copy someone exactly, but you could just use it as inspiration. And you could also, if you're getting someone to do it, say at Fiverr for you, and you're outsourcing some of it, you can say, hey, I really like this one for that reason, I don't like that one for this reason, and that kind of thing as well. So it's a really good way to communicate what your likes are to someone if you're trying to get them to create some of the images for you, because that's one of the hardest things to explain to people is what you do and don't like is actually quite hard to explain to people in this kind of world format. Okay, now I'm going to go because it's Saturday morning here, and actually, strangely, I've got to work on my mum's website. Can you believe it? She's an art therapist, as I've told you a few times, and she's been going to get me to finish her, her website hasn't been updated for, 5 years. How embarrassing is that? A long time. And she's having an article going out in the magazine tomorrow, in the local newspaper, which has a circulation of maybe 100,000 people or something. But it's all about art therapy. And they're going to put her website address in there. And she's like panicking. I haven't done anything on my website for a long time. So I'm got to help her sort that out to make it look a bit shiny today. So I'll post this up and do the things for the challenge, and then I'll have my mum here for quite a few hours, I think, today. And that'll be my Saturday gone. So I hope your Saturday is really productive. I'm sure that'll be very productive for me. It's nice to spend time with my mum and to be able to create that. Actually, when I finish it, I might even post it in the Facebook group if it turns out okay. So get your feedback. Okay? So apart from that, I have to do the last bit of editing on my blog post, so I've got all those words out there. I've done a video, which I've thrown in the Facebook group. You can have a look, which I'm also including in the blog post, but I can also use that as a part of this process. I can use it to share with a link back to the blog post, which I probably will do. And I've also created another image which sort of demonstrates what I talk about, which is actually exactly what the video is about. So it's all very succinct, all that kind of stuff. But my actual blog post has got, patches here where I go, oh, put in an example here and do this. I'm thinking, I just need to go tidy that up. So I'll try and get that done before my mum arrives as well. All right, that's my Saturday, and probably all more than you need to know. Go and have an awesome weekend. I will see you tomorrow. This is my Sunday morning. It will be day 2 of the second week, or day 9. And we will be busy creating amazing things. Now, if you have a question, please go put it in the Facebook group, or I think someone just jumped on. If you have a question, I can hang around for a couple of minutes and answer it. Otherwise, really have a magic time, and don't get too, upset about it. Don't get too stressed. The other thing you can do to make it a little bit of fun and play around, if you want, in Canva, there's a whole lot of Christmas things, so you could be creating some personal Christmas cards and things like that if you want to as well. And you can put them out and send them to your family and friends, that kind of stuff, for a little bit of Christmas spirit, which of course, as you know, I love Christmas. So it was pretty cool to see that. All right, I'm going to go because I do need to, as I said, get on with all of those things that I just talked about. So it's lovely to see you all, and go have fun with it. Really relax, enjoy it. This is the creative spirit will flow if you don't get too uptight about it, and just have a bit of fun. All right, take care, love you all, and I will see you tomorrow.